Hi everyone. This will most likely be a shorter video just because my husband and son just left to go to the toy store. So I'm guessing they will be away about a half an hour. If I'm lucky, maybe a little bit more. So I'm trying to just get a little video in while stitching while they are away. So it, if it, the ending is like really fast, almost like just bye, I have to go, it's because they came home. So, but we still have most likely at least half an hour to stitch. So I'm thinking trying to finish up the house and just see where we go from there. So this is the Raccoon Cabin by Country Cottage Needlework. It is the first pattern in the Frosty Forest series. There is 9 patterns in total, and I'm doing all of them on this 32 count pearl gray Belfast linen. And I'm pretty sure it's from Swigert. So yeah. Explanation about this series and how I get all the patterns and so on and so forth. If you're new, I can recommend going back to the first episodes. And there will be more explanation there. So welcome if you're new, and welcome back if you are a returning viewer. I really love having you here, keeping me company. It is so much fun. So thank you so much for being here and supporting this series, because I do love doing this series. So, and as long as there is someone continuing to love watching this series as much as I like making them, then this series will go on. So yeah, let's just get into stitching, shall we? I just have measured out a length of floss right here. I use a ruler to measure up the lengths, and just take one strand, pull, keep it together with my fingers and pull. And I cut them at double length of what I use, because I always start with the loop method if it's 2 strands, and if I come to a pattern where I'm only supposed to use 1 strand, then I usually pull out 1 length as I did right now, and I just cut it in half. So just wrapping the length around the bobbin. It's also nice having a length, a normal length that I usually pull out, because if not, if I have like, now there is 5 strands left in that length, sometimes I accidentally have cut that length again because I didn't think it was cut already. So I ended up with one very, very short length of floss because of that. So having those pre-cut, you always know. Let's just say that, because when you pull it out, you will get to the end before you measure it out if you already have cut that length. So that's nice, having that extra security. So I feel like I say this every time, but we are closing into a finish. At least this time we hopefully will get the house done. And then we will just have to see how much of the snow and fence we can get done. Depending on how long this episode is, there is not more than this video plus 2 more videos to do before this first part is done. And if I get a good amount done now, and the next time I sit and stitch, I get a good amount of time, I think this can get done. So if I'm lucky and get one more session to sit and stitch, I think I can finish this today. So we will wait and see. I have decided that when I finish this, I will continue on with the next part of the series, because there's so many people that really do love this series and they love watching the progress on this whip. I'm gonna zoom you in, by the way. Yeah, there are so many people that love and support this series that I have decided that I will continue on. And as long as there is interest, I will do this series. So I'm still not 100% sure what pattern I am going to do next. Knowing me, I most likely will do the part that is number 2. But nothing is written in stone. Everything is written with a pencil, and we will just see. I have previously asked what people would like to do, and the general consensus is just do what I want to do. So yeah, and the biggest thing I am considering is just doing all the borders when I'm done with this block, so all the borders are done. But I'm not sure, because when I did stitch this one, I used the border and where I stopped in the border to find out like where I was starting this tree over on this side, where I was supposed to start the rooftop, and so on and so forth. So I think like 95% I have decided that most likely I will do the borders as I do the patterns. As I said, just because it's the borders is a nice way to find out where to start and not having to count too much, especially since I'm doing this. I do everything on camera, and can be difficult having to count too much. I have to say, this Easy Guide needle, you can see a little ball point at the top there, are really nice when you get those squeezed in stitches, or like you get this stitch so nice even though these 2 stitches are done. That's not always the case, because if there's too many strands in a hole already, then sometimes the stitch you do doesn't look perfect. But the Easy Guide needle really helps with that, so it's almost perfect every time. So that's nice. I'm sorry if it's shaking a lot. I can feel myself hitting the frame a lot. So I don't hit you guys, but I hit the frame. And I usually have a pillow on the right side, because it's this pattern are secured on a Lowry stand, and it's on the left side is where the clamp is holding the frame. So sometimes if I have a little bit long frame, it usually helps having a pillow on the right side, just to secure it a little bit. But I need it for my left hand, the pillow, so we just have to do with what we got. This is a pin stitch, so I went up in the middle of the hole since I'm stitching 2 over 2 strands. So I went first at the top and down the middle again, and now I go at the bottom and up the middle again, down the middle again, I mean. And that way, and I hold this tail. I make sure to hold the tail like the opposite direction of where I'm going to go up or down, and make sure that I'm hitting that tail in the middle when going up and down, because that is basically what makes the pin stitch. If you don't hit the tail or put it to the side so you miss it, then you will not pin the floss and then it can get loose. And when I do the pin stitch, I change to a regular needle just because I want to pierce the floss. And with this ballpoint on the Easy Guide needle, I find that most of the time it doesn't pierce the thread. It like goes to the side, even though I really try and pierce it, and then it's not secure. So then it's not a pin stitch. So sometimes you will see me change needles just because of that. And I do that half pin stitch. As you see, I go up the top middle and down in the middle on the square underneath, and that is to make the stitch I'm doing make that go the what can I call it, the correct direction. And now pin stitch again. So when I end a pin stitch, when I started, I went down the middle. When I end, I go to, you can either go to the top middle, bottom middle, the side, one of the side middle holes, because you see there's two stitches, one here and one here. So you get like a tic-tac-toe board where your stitches are supposed to go. So I can't, usually I do the bottom first when ending. Yeah, that's just my preference, so that's what I'm doing. And then I go down straight in the middle, and then I go the opposite of where I was. So if I had done the right middle hole and down the middle, I would then go to the left middle hole. But since I did the bottom middle hole, I will go to the top middle hole and just think at it as a tic-tac board, where instead of squares, it's holes. And then down the middle. And then up again to the bottom, just to cut it off. And that's usually enough when I'm working with cotton floss. If I am working with silks, I sometimes do even one more leg of the pin. So instead of cutting, I would go down the middle again and then come up and then cut, just so I go down basically 3 times in the middle hole, because the silk floss has a tendency to be very slippery, so you sometimes need to pin it down twice to get it to stick. And if you have trouble with the pin stitch, that it doesn't always stick, then just do one more and it's secure. I had never ever had to do more than going 3 times down the hole. So the first time you don't really pin it. So the second time you have pinned it 1 time, and the third time you go down, you have pinned it twice. When ending the floss. When starting the floss, it's a little bit different. But basically, each time you go down the middle hole, when there is thread there already, then you do 1 pin stitch. I think maybe this one will also be done now. So this time I'm actually going to use the regular needle just at once, so I don't have to change after 4 stitches. And we are soon done with the house. There's not much left now, and I actually haven't used that long of a time, so I'm like this. I just really had to concentrate there because as you can see, there's not much of a tail right there. This is the end being cut off, and that's what I had to work with. So I sometimes get quiet when I really concentrate. Again, this one will be ended. And this color is actually the fence color, so it will be used one more time. And the other brown color on the house, that will be completed when the house is completed. But that is the last color right here, is the one being completed when the house is completed. That color is the color on the tree. It's really nice. Like, these two are like browns with a hint of gold in them, so I really like these brown colors. They look good. I like them. Let's just see. Just double checking with the pattern that I was supposed to end. Didn't get that pinned. That I was supposed to end this color where it ended. That I suddenly hadn't done like 3 rows on the color 420 instead of 2. Because the house, it's made with 2 lines of 420, DMC 420, and 2 lines with DMC 869. I think I have shown all the colors on camera and the numbers previously, so because at least I sometimes really like to know like what colors is being stitched with, to like, if I'm converting a pattern myself, if I don't like the house color that was there before, or if it's a color I see on a stitch with me and I'm like, oh, that is a really nice color, then I'm like, what color is it? it's really nice when just knowing the color so you can use it if you're doing a conversion. Even if it's the called for color, it's still nice to know. So I actually do really love these two colors, the brown one, this 869, and the green one, the 469, both DMC. I really like that combination on this type of tree. It's one of those trees that have a little bit green on them all year. Do you call them evergreens? I don't know. But they don't have like leaves as it's not leaves, it's like those needle-like hanging on there, those needle-ish things. I'm stitching with the non-easy count needle, and I can actually tell because now I'm struggling, because now I have a stitch that are surrounded, and it suddenly got much easier to do. So yeah, I do love how the trees look. I like the mint color, but I'm not sure if I like it for the windows and the door. But for now, with this one, I will stick to the pattern, just because I'm doing all 9 of them, and most likely these colors are happening in another pattern. I haven't like looked closely, but I'm pretty sure they are. So I don't want to change them out, because the next time they are used, they might be perfect for the pattern. And this isn't looking bad at all. I'm not saying it's looking bad, it's just, I don't know, it's not my taste. But at the same time, I have no clue what color I would have changed it into. Because you can't do brown, because the house is brown, so then you can see the door. And so yeah, I have no clue what color I would have turned it into. Maybe just a blue color instead of that mint green, I don't know. But I'm not changing it. It's staying the way it's supposed to be. And it looks good, it does. It fits, and I'm not a green person. I use green on trees and on the grass and on leaves and stuff. But and sometimes my dragons. But like things that can have many different colors, I usually don't pick green. I think it's because it's just not my color. So 869 is done. And what I do with the leftover floss, because this is a pretty decent length, I just push it through the hole on the bobbin. And I have made it a loop, so I have like folded it in half before I did that. Catch the tail in the loop and pull, and then it's secure over there. And then the length, I just wrap it around. So the next time I come to use this one, I know I have a shorter length here. If I'm using this for a blended floss, that I know it's a blended floss, then I will not use this length. I will like just wrap it like this and just hold it away and just take that length that is just wrapped around without being in this hole, because then I know it's the same length as another length I take from another bobbin, the second color that I needed. So, that actually finished the house. And I have to say, it looks even better on camera right now than when I'm stitching. And I think it's because I'm using the light on my mobile phone. So for me, it looks very washed out. But for you guys, you really get the true colors on this piece. And actually, with this brown color, these two brown colors get much darker, especially the darker one, so you really can see that it's striped. Then I really love the mint door. Just looking up it at close right now when it's so washed out, I don't like it, but I do love how it looks in the camera. So yeah. And then we can go down to where the fence is supposed to be. Oh. And I'm actually thinking that I might do the brown first, because on this side I did the white first and then the brown, and it's like you can see the white stitches more clearly. So in a way, on this side I want to do the fence first, just to see if the fence is popping a little bit more. Yeah, it might make a little bit of a difference between the two fences, but that will just be the way it is. Maybe it will give some depth to the fence. So there is basically just this brown 420 color and white left to stitch. And then we are done. So if what I might do, if my husband and son soon come home, I might just stop this video and continue. When I continue recording, just keep on filming like it was the same episode, so you might see like I'm back with stitching, and just finish this off this episode. What do you think? Do you want to finish this pattern, this episode? We got the house. We are only missing the fence and the snow. And there's just a tiny bit left of both of them. I think that's what I will do. So this episode might be a longer one. You most likely have already seen it. So I hope you found some stitching and maybe some tea or coffee or a glass of water to drink while stitching. And I actually might just do this every other color with this brown and the white one. I'm just gonna park it straight in the middle so it's not in the way. These white stitches. I have to say, I do love seeing the pattern. Like when you park and seeing the pattern comes to life that way, that you do like a column or a row at a time. I really love watching a pattern emerge that way. So maybe that's what I will try to do with the next part of the Frosty Forest series. And again, just park it straight in the middle of the square so it's not in the way. Because if this brown floss right here was parked there, it would be in the way for this, all the stitches I have done there already with the white one. So yeah. And I actually do think that this time I will only go straight down, and on the next part of the fence that I'm going down, that I will go one stitch to the left right here, so that I do it after I have done the white one, because the white one is jumping right there. It has a little jump. And I can see that most likely this 420, I will have to find another strand to do. Like I had with the color 869, I have to pull off that whole length and the whole length and cut it. And most likely I will have to do that with the color 420 also, because it's just a smidge too little floss to get this fence done. And that's all that is left of that color. I also had to do it with this green one, this 469, the same thing. So this is a pattern that you're like exactly not being completed with that what you think is the last length. You have to pull out one more, but it's fine. as you have seen, I'm frugal, so even though I just have to pull it off and do those 4 or 5 stitches that is left, sometimes even less, that's fine, because I'm not wasting the floss. I will just use that the next time I stitch with that color, unless it's a blended floss, of course. But and now there is a little bit of waste of the floss in the way I stitch. If I had done top right to bottom left, then I would only have this distance to go. And now that I do diagonal, I go from here to down there on each stitch. So I do waste a little bit more this way, but at the same time, as I have said, yes, I am frugal, but I never let it compromise my stitches. I'm not so frugal that my stitches end up looking less beautiful than I want, how I like them to look. You might think my stitches doesn't look good at all, because we have different tastes in how we like our stitches to look. So I'm just hoping I manage to get this half done, because then I can pin stitch here, which is a part of the brown on the fence. Because I don't want to do the pin stitch to end this floss under the white stitching. My nail on my thumb is a little bit too long, so I actually don't see what I do when I thread the floss between my fingers. So I kind of like have to guess, especially when the camera is the way it is. It's fine when I normally sit and stitch, but the camera is like right underneath me, so if I were to move my head so I would be looking straight down, I would knock you out of the way. So next time, cut down my nails, especially on my thumb. Actually, I think maybe that I have cut the length of this one. Yeah, there is like 2 strands left, so I didn't need to cut a whole new length. So that's nice. There was 2 left. So that's always nice. But I have to say, the most perfect feeling in the world is like when you do that last stitch, and it's the last stitch that you have left on your length of floss. If you manage to get like exactly the last stitch on that floss, so there's nothing extra, not too much, not like you have to play what I call the real floss chicken, where you have to thread the needle for each stitch you do, but you're like getting that last stitch exactly perfect before it gets too short. That is the perfect, one of the most perfect feelings in the world when I am cross stitching. It's just, it gives so much joy. Like, yeah, I exactly finished off that length when the pattern was done. I don't think that will happen with any of these two colors, but this is not a pattern that you finish off a length. It's more like, oh, I have under 30 stitches left and I have to find the new length. That is this pattern. But it is fine. And right now I feel so lucky because I don't even hear my son or husband yet. So I really didn't think they would be along because my son, well, he was just out of it today. He isn't in a good mood at all. And my husband is really tired, and then he is really bad at handling my son when he is really tired. So I have to be like the middle person trying to negotiate between them. So it was nice getting a little bit free time right now while they are at the toy store. But most likely my son has gotten in a better mood when they got to the toy store. And so yeah, then it seems that they might be a little bit longer than what I first thought they would be. I suddenly was like, how many more poles on this fence am I supposed to do? But it's more than 4, so this one is not too much. There is actually 6 of them. So after this one, there is 2 more. I'm just starting to see I'm closing into like the edge there. And always when there's not stitches, I feel like the area is so much smaller than what it actually is. It's like when I get the stitches on there, it looks much bigger. So when I compare it to this side, I'm like, shouldn't I soon end this fence? But no, there's actually, what, 4 more lines, because there's 2 with this brown color and the white between them and this white. So yeah. We are really getting close to finishing this. I'm like in my head, I'm like soon, like 4, 3 for each pole right now, or each column of stitches. So 3 more left. Two more of this brown. And that's basically how my brain works. I'm constantly thinking, counting in numbers, most of what I do. And when I stitch, I sometimes even count in both row and stitches. No, I'm not going to jump with this one. Sometimes the pattern's like repetitive. So if you saw there, I was on my way to do one of these white rows, or the row with the most white on it. I think it's more correct to say. And if you heard that popping sound, like there, it's because there is a teeny tiny knot gotten just at the edge of the length, but I'm not bothering to do anything with it because it's not in the way, and I will just cut it when I cut the floss before putting it on the bobbin, because it's one of those where the two lengths, two strands have like wrapped themselves over each other, but it's small enough that I can get my needle on and off, so I'm not really bothered by it. I will see when I change the needle to pin stitch. I might have to cut the knot away then. I actually parked it wrong, but it's in the middle hole to the left, so it's fine. That's why I suddenly had trouble thinking what I was supposed to say, because I was thinking about what to do with that floss and came to the conclusion there is nothing to actually do. It's fine where it is. So I think I actually will just pin stitch this. Do I want to pin stitch this white right now? Yeah, I think I want. Yeah. No, I think I maybe want to have like one more stitch to do. So. And this time I need to remember to do the two extra stitches on both sides there at the middle. And I think I want to do this on this side on the way. Do I want to do it on the way up? Yeah, I want to do it on my way up, doing the stitching. right. That's correct. So now I have only to complete the half stitches into X's to be done with the fence. So that was the last stitch. Of this brown color. No, I forgot to do the stitch. You probably saw it and was like, no, you forgot a stitch. Yes, I did. There was one stitch left. And I even told you I need to remember to do both of them, and I totally forgot because I was supposed to do it on my way up and it just slipped my mind, and I have already then I'll most likely just have to do a double pin stitch in this square. You have seen it done before when I did those single snowflakes. And I do have to say, this fence, I can already see it looks so much better than this fence. But it's too late to do anything with now because I'm not ripping out all that. That's not happening. I'm not that crazy. I'm just almost that crazy. And so yeah. So I can hear my son and husband come in, so I will put you on pause and then I will be back later to do the last stitches. And I'm back. So all I really did was finish off this pin stitch. I didn't cut it or anything, I just finished it off. I decided to do it underneath this stitch instead, just because I could, and I think it's better than pin stitching twice under one stitch. I do it if I have to, no problem there, but if I don't need to, then I usually don't do it. And this one, you see, even just like 1 hour not stitching and then coming back, I'm still struggling with remembering what I was supposed to do. But I think I was just trying to do a few stitches and then I will pin stitch it. That's good. Just do the pin stitch. thinking about looking up the next time, and if I see there is a color that is used like really much, I might put it in a floss away bag. So the rest, when it's a floss away bag, I just wrap around my finger and then put it in the bag. And I'm always closing the floss away bag when I put it away, which there's not much chance of it going to the floor because my son is asleep. I don't have any animals at home, cats or dogs, that can knock it down. So, and where it lays, it's not possible for me to knock it down. So I don't know why I always close it, because I'm soon going to open it again and put this, or most likely put this length of floss down there. Okay, come on. There. I don't know what happened there. Maybe I did miss the hole a little bit. Maybe I hit the stitch over or something, because it didn't pull the loop back, but as you saw, it's just picking it. Stitching, reverse stitch, and then stitch over again, and it's fine. We are done with the fence, and now we're working on the last stitches of white. So yeah, going forward, I will most likely have started part 2 and gotten a good chunk of part 2 done before you see part 1. But let me know if you want me to like work the pattern down as I normally do, and just not like, now I have tried to just not to park too much for your sake, actually. Also, I have been thinking about the white and that pecan pie that I didn't really want the white to do the white last, because then it might the pecan pie color might rub over if it's not 100% color proof, especially on those darker parts of it. I don't think the lighter parts would have done much difference, but I am always very careful when it comes to the white one. I actually have never had a white stitch been ruined where the color did rub off, but most likely that is because I have been so careful. So I'm just railroading a little bit these stitches. I don't always railroad, but sometimes if I see the floss is starting to like turn over Then I will railroad just to try and make it lay flat again, and sometimes just holding the floss like this with my finger in the loop help fix it right away. It would be really neat to try a laying tool. But I haven't found anywhere online at a decent price and decent shipping that it's worth the cost. So for now I will just have to railroad. If I'm going to use a laying tool, I think I want the ones that you just put on your finger. So maybe I can even try and MacGyver something. See if I can make something myself as a laying tool. That might work. I have some needles that has broken off, so maybe I can like try and make maybe try and make it from a rubber band or something. Try and make one. That might be possible. Now I have all these ideas in my head of how I will try and do that. So maybe in the future you will see me with a homemade laying tool. Because the way I stitch two-handed, it wouldn't be like my hands are like right here, so it wouldn't do much to just reach out my finger if there was a needle on here and put it in the loop. So I think it would not be that slow to do. And but who knows? Maybe I think at least I would need some practice before doing it, using it. But I actually think maybe I will do one stitch at a time here. Going over because all these stitches are half stitches that needs to be crossed. I got something in my eye. Just hold on a minute. So I'm just going to try and adjust you a tiny bit. Sometimes even when you are in frame and I try to adjust you, it is because the light from the phone doesn't seem to hit the fabric very well, so I try to move it a little bit so you can see better. Right, we are on the last row. Completing the stitches or completing the crosses on the row. Not much left now. Half a leg left. Should I just stop here right now? Like, okay, now I don't want to do it anymore. I'm done. I'm finished. Nah, I could never do that. All right. And then I just need to pin stitch. And doing it one extra time because I missed one of those at one time. And that is it. It's part 1 is done. So it took me a little bit over an hour, but it was worth it. I have actually been thinking about what I want to do next, and I think actually I will go over here and do part 8. Just because the way you're supposed to do the patterns, I feel it's very unnatural for me to do like this section and then jump down in the middle. So I'm gonna do this section and then do part 2. And I don't know if I will work my way like down and across and then in. So this one will be the second to last and this one the last, or if I'm just going to work them downwards. I might do that. So yeah, that is my plan. So next time you will see part 8. Or until the next time, I might do part 2, but I will do all the 3 parts in the top row first before moving down. So either part 2 or part 3. I haven't fully decided yet, as you can see. So it might be part 2 and then do part 8 after that. So thank you so much for watching, liking, subscribing. This journey has been so much fun, and it will continue because I am going to do the next part also and continue doing it until you guys are bored or my life changes too much for me to be able to film these Stitch With Me's. So yeah, that was the Raccoon Cabin. As you can see, it's completed. All it's missing is this button, this little bird, but that one I don't think the button will like it in the scroll frame, so I'm not going to put it on yet. And on these, I don't know if I will use all of them, but I will use some of them, the buttons. So we'll just see when I get to that point. So again, thank you so much, and I will see you next Friday when we start with a new part in this series.